afternoon, nerds and gamers. And if you look at your clocks today, right now, it's Dragon Hour, our new podcast, in which we will be discussing all sorts of nerd, game culture, what all the rage is about, and anything you might want to know about what's happening right now. So, in episode 1, we will be discussing an article that has been going around from the D&D community.
Though it's mostly Wizards of the Coast. The owners have put out a nice statement about how they've reached out to the community. If you've been with my channel for some time, you might remember a few weeks, months, I think, ago, I made a video about some people on Twitter that went like, orcs are racist. They're racist. They're caricatures of black people. And we poked fun at them, we laughed, it was a good time, everybody had fun, and then we moved on with our lives.
Until now. When apparently...
a few days ago,
the creators of...
Wizards of the Coast.
Of the Wizards of the Coast have put out this statement where they are going to give in, let's say, to the outrage of the people.
Let's say they bend the knee.
And they are going to make changes to orcs and another class.
No, there was the talks about Dark Elves.
The Dark Elves, yes. So there will be some modifications here.
Well, I guess let's tackle this thing first. Now, the few paragraphs are just brand good. And we're going to improvement. You're the orc specialist on this one, so I'm just gonna let you take care of it.
So what they say here is they're gonna present Orcs and Drow in a new light, with 2 of the most recent books, Eberron Rising from the Last War and Explorer's Guide to Wildermount. In these books, Orcs and Drow are just as morally and culturally complex as other people. We will continue that approach in future books, portraying all the peoples of D&D in relatable ways and making it clear they're free as humans to decide who they are and what they do. Well, taking into account the whole nature of D&D games and the way people play them, they're going to do with the characters whatever they want anyway.
You're not going to stop me from having barbaric orcs raiding villages and looting and pillaging and whatever they do.
So, orcs, from what the lore tells us, are basically a huge amalgamation of Huns, let's say, if we are to take from historical background. They are Huns that grow up in a Spartan environment and basically live in tribes. Like some tribes of... let's say,
Mongols.
New Zealand, Africa, who knows?
Mongols.
Yes. So the fact that they mentioned they would be black caricatures makes absolutely no sense, because there were thousands and hundreds and thousands of nomadic cultures out there from all backgrounds.
Raiding, pillaging, looting.
From Asia to Africa to North America, Europe, everybody had nomadic people that lived in tribes. And I think the whole point of us wanting to play D&D and games that are fantastic fantasy games is kind of trying to escape the mundane and going back to maybe something that seems simpler. Battles, wars, pillaging,
going into pit fights and not risking dying in real life. I mean, that's one of my pleasures in this game.
Absolutely. So why would they change orcs from what they are? They are not a representation of black people. I don't understand why people even see that.
The thing is that they've already made modifications, but this is Eberron, the Forgotten Realms. And things work differently when you consider Eberron is a whole other plane, like Icewind Dale or Neverwinter Night.
Well, think about World of Warcraft, for example. They have added trolls that are different from the original trolls, but that doesn't mean that they are the same people, but they grow up in different places, so they can be different.
Well, one would say that they're different trolls. Forest trolls, in fact, are more bulky in nature, while dark spirit trolls are more lean.
Yes, so just the way they grow up makes who they are. But playing an actual normal on the lore troll is actually really interesting because the orcs have a really interesting way of thinking. That their whole tribal nature and the way they live actually makes it a really fun character. Just not having to overthink everything. They are their whole purpose is to fight. That's what they want to do. This is how they're brought up. Orcs that are bad at fighting usually don't live long. I mean, orcs don't live long on the whole, usually.
Like, in general, yeah.
In general, their oldest, and I mean oldest, orcs are 47 years old. That's about it. Like, when they are 14, they're ready for battle. When they're 17, they're adult. When they're 23, they're old. And everything over 23 is already...
You're like the elder of the clan.
Precisely. And no orcs live past 47 years old. You won't find any. So their short lifespans kind of goes into this whole we battle and we get stuff instead of creating stuff.
And huge wagons, remember, and huge wagons of war.
Huge wagons of loot.
Yes.
That's the most... well, that's not the only most amazing thing, but they're very close-knit. So they live in really close-knit communities. They live together. They have a tribal culture. That's all there is to it. So you can't just mention, okay, it's tribal, it means it makes fun of black people, and that's it.
That's not in consideration the tribal societies of Europe before.
So many people lived in tribes before. This is a no-brainer.
Look at parts of East Asia until the Mongols came. They didn't really have a country per se. And when the Mongols came, wasn't really that sure that that's a country either. So.
Well, I think the Huns are like the closest thing to orcs that we have in history. I think.
Well, if you exclude their desire for war. Remember that Genghis Khan or one of his lieutenants, was way more inclined to go for books and other stuff. Then again, we have the whole thing with the Library of Baghdad being destroyed and rivers becoming black from ink. But I guess that's going away a little too far.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, bringing up racism in Dungeons and Dragons is kind of exaggerating because there are so many races to go by. Well, just think about it. Think about demons.
You mean tieflings? Tieflings,
yes.
Okay.
So demon hybrids.
Yes.
They're inherently evil because they're born with chaotic tendencies from the way they are. That doesn't mean they have to be and you have to play them evilly. But they are inclined by the way they're brought up to be a certain way. And that is the way orcs are, because if they're brought up to be strong and value war in order to survive.
Of course, they'll tend to go more often to war and find bigger and better foes. Quite in fact, like the dwarf slayers from Warhammer.
Yes.
Fantasy.
Yes. So, to them, war equals I live more.
Yes, unless you're weak.
When you're weak, you get less food. Literally from the youngest ages. So, you won't live long if you don't do good. Or you'll be really weak and you won't really get the chance to do better. So, it's kind of half natural selection, half Spartan upbringing. That's what that is.
Yeah, but if we look at these two books they brought up here with the Orcs of Exordia, I think it was called. and the new orcs of Eberron. They did something interesting to them, and that's the fact that they got rid of their negative to intelligence. Because orcs had the negative into intelligence, of course, and basically they made them more docile, more friendly, more human-like, going that World of Warcraft route where with the friendly orcs.
Yeah, but that would be mishmashing various. So why would you pick on Dungeons and Dragons portrayals based on a World of Warcraft?
I think the fact is that they made these books before that tweet was made. I think that's something we have to look into if the books were made before the tweet. The idea is that that tweet that started this whole debacle and mess appear like with the picture from the player's handbook, if I'm correct, right? I can't remember. It's been way too long. I don't really remember all that stuff.
I think yes, indeed. Just give me one second to double check that. I believe that from what I see here, yes, they did present part of the player's handbook as the part with role playing an orc. So the fact that they are indoctrinated into a life of destruction and slaughter, which they are, because if they do not obey by their warring nature, they will not survive. First of all, second of all, they are more inclined to obey their warring nature because once they are successful in war, they get advantages. They get first of all, the strongest become the leaders, so everybody would be inclined to be the strongest.
Yes.
If you can be the leader.
Yes.
And furthermore, if you do amazing feats such as defeating elves as their primary god, Grumsh hates. So if you do manage to defeat elves, Grumsh will grant you extra powers. So anybody would want to be successful and destroy elves and bring them as a sacrifice to the great Grumsh in order to get extra powers.
That could work pretty good if you have a player that has that. Like, you set up a battle with elves, and if he manages to kill one, like he gets the killing blow on one, you could just like grant extra attributes, stat boost or whatever, or give him a nice sword to be like, yes.
Yes.
Like,
unfortunately, it comes with a tiny, tiny disadvantage. You need to take out an eye.
For every elf?
No. You kill one elf, and then you take out one eye in order to identify with your god, Grumsh, who had an eye taken out by the god of elves. So once you kill an elf, you become more entwined with Grumsh, so you take out that eye and bring the eye and the elf you killed as a sacrifice to Grumsh.
Honestly, this has a lot of possibilities of role playing and just making an interesting character.
Absolutely. So their entire tribal and god-obeying character makes an incredibly compelling gameplay mechanic for anybody that is into role-playing. So taking that away, that brutish nature, leaves you with what?
Basically, greener humans with more strength, I guess.
Don't you already have Goliath? Why would you put another humanoid, intelligent, or half-intelligent being? You have half-orcs for more intelligent orcs.
But they're not real orcs. Let's be honest, they're not real orcs.
They are very real orcs. Half-orcs are created once an orc finds a strong enough human or partner of various races, doesn't matter if they're human, to mate with. So if you find yourself the strongest woman in a possible village and you take her as your own, you do what Grumsh instructed you to, which is slaughter and kill and multiply. And then slaughter and kill and multiply some more. So, while it's sometimes looked down upon, mating with others, if you find a strong enough mate of a different race, it stops mattering.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it goes on.
Furthermore, in lore, half-orcs, because they counterbalance that minus intelligence that everybody's so bothered by, they actually make really strong leaders. A lot of half-orcs are in leadership positions because of that.
I'm not sure. I don't think half orcs get a disadvantage though. I think only normal orcs do.
Precisely.
Okay.
If they do, I don't really remember if they have any disadvantages half-orcs, but I probably that they are more intelligent.
I don't.
The lore says it. They are more intelligent than purebred orcs.
I don't think they have a disadvantage. The only creatures that I can think of that has a disadvantage is basically the regular orc and the kobold. And the kobold's a weakling.
Yes.
We're not going to get into that.
I mean, okay, if you want to counterbalance that disadvantage, you can buff something else. Because indeed, orcs are tribalistic enough and superstitious enough to maybe deserve that minus in intelligence. They are very, very tribalistic. Just about anything can be considered a superstition sign. So.
And that's a bunch of orc lore here.
Yes.
But to get to the other race they're talking about the drow, which is the dark elf, which is one of my favorites. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
I like, besides ratmen, I also like drows and vampires. I am very fond of underground races because I want to live where there's no sun and I can just be myself and venerate my crazed god that's a spider.
Totally. It makes total sense. Sounds so much like you.
So the drows have culturally this interesting thing where they are slavers. They have a caste system, and they're a matriarchy that venerates a spider god that created them. And most of them are evil, except Dritz. Dritz is an interesting aspect. He's a dark elf who's good.
Okay.
And what Dritz really serves as a purpose was to show that there are deviations from the norm. That you're not only gonna be, you don't really have to be evil to go that path. Because if you look at humans, technically I think the book tells you that they're more neutral, but humans can be good or bad. I understand they want to make this point that everything is sort of human, where it can be good or bad. But I think it's much more interesting to have exceptions, like Dritz, for example, to prove that not the whole race isn't evil, but yes, they are evil, but there are people that deviate for the norm. There are dissidents, people that fight against the system, or that just ran off from home and because they want to be different. They don't want to be fed to a spider god, which I kind of agree wholeheartedly. Dying by spiders not an option that many people really want.
Yeah, they don't. Nobody would really want spider death. I can subscribe to that. And I do agree what you just said with the showing there are other sides of the coin. Orcs have that too. There are castes of orcs that have been taken away from their tribalistic nature. I believe there is a tribe of orcs that has grown with monks. And yes.
What monks?
Monks. Yes, they have. So they have this lore part that they consider that they were taken away. They were taken away by by these monks, and they grew up teaching and learning with them. So they have a pacifistic way of looking at life. So if you've ever wanted to play an orc that hates war and wants to talk like a Buddhist monk, literally, like, why is this sun that touches the mountain so beautiful, but people still fight? You can play that. There is a tribe. There is a tribe that can allow you to roleplay as an orc that is a pacifist and isn't obsessed with war and is, I believe, way more intelligent than the others that have grown up in the tribal system. But that doesn't mean that the ones that do grow up in a tribal system have to be considered suddenly more intelligent. Or everything that they brought up with these books are exceptions to the rule that is what an orc actually is.
You see, this is the thing. I would really much rather have races that are purely evil, like they're chaotic evil to the end, but then you still have the option to play as one of them that can be good. Because if you take this look into a country, let's say you have a communist country, do you think all people in the communist country will agree to communist ideas, the communist principles? No, most of them fled off to other countries. And I think that's
Those that managed.
oh, those that, yeah, those that survived to flee. I think that's the important aspect to it, that there are people that can be different.
Yeah.
If we just normalize that they are complex and they can be good and human too, then I guess there's really no point to have a character that can change or that can evolve. Like if you start with an evil drought in a campaign and you're not the type of that guy who just goes around trying to murder his teammates, then you can have some character development where he can slowly turn face and be a good guy.
Yes, absolutely. So basically, the background of a character and a class is what gives.
Oh, we're gonna get there.
Okay, okay. You wanna keep reading them?
Yeah, let's keep reading. Now the next one is a little bit more mild. Is that they've basically fixed some errors in judgment and reprints of Tomb of Annihilation and Curse of Strahd, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really sure what that means. I didn't get my hands on those reprints. I don't have the normal ones either, not in digital or physical format. But I guess it's minor things like mummies or something. But I just want to. I told you we're gonna get back to the thing with the origin of the characters.
Absolutely.
The next one is the pretty interesting one. You can have a read if you want.
Okay. Later this year, we will release a product, not yet announced, that offers a way for a player to customize their character's origins, including the option to change the ability score increases that come from being an elf, a dwarf, or one of D&D's many other playable folk. This option emphasizes that each person in the game is an individual with capabilities all their own. I guess that is something. I'm not sure how to feel about that one.
I don't really feel good about this one because it tells me, like, you know how you as an elf are fast. Well, you don't really have to put those points in dexterity. You can put whatever you want. And Pathfinder did something with this, which I think is really detrimental to their system, and I don't really touch it that much. Is the fact that they got rid of the stat bonuses for certain races. So, for example, the orc doesn't get a -2 into intelligence, but he also doesn't get the +2 in constitution. What I think they really want to do here is just give you the option to put the points wherever you want. Like you have a human, you have like attribute points you can put wherever you want. I think basically that.
But that kind of destroys the entire typology of what you're trying to play.
I mean, you can make a human with the pointy ears, a small human with a beard, an even smaller human that can steal stuff, a green human, and a lizard human, a demon human, an angel human,
a bird human,
yes, a rat human.
Just about any type of human, but it's still a human.
Yes.
Because it has the exact same stats, which is why? Why would you do that? What's the benefit of destroying the entire point system? You lose that basis of everything you're building on if you destroy what they take off initially. I mean, you are going to put points in anything you want anyway after you start playing.
Yes.
So why destroy the basis of the character?
Remember we had this player that in another campaign he used to have an orc cleric that used to hit people with a book.
Yes.
The good thing is that the cleric needs wisdom, not intelligence. So that's an interesting option. But
yeah, I'm going to be a very intelligent orc that I don't know, does spells, which is going to be considered like the lamest thing from them, because I'm not gonna be a woman, which are most orc women are specialized in sorcery, and the orc men try to see that as being a coward, basically.
Isn't it interesting how the Dark Elves are more matriarchal in their system, where the males are not really that favored, while the orcs are the patriarchal in their own.
Yes,
They really feel like
they're
two
like
sides
this,
of the same coin.
exactly what
end.
I was about to say. Yes, that's exactly what this feels like. So we have on the one side the matriarchal type of community and a patriarchal type of community, and I I don't really know what to do about this whole stat change in the end.
The important thing with D&D and other games like this is that in the end is make pretend. You don't really have to follow all the rules. Multi-classing is optional. Feats are optional.
And at the end of the day, if the DM just tells you you're not gonna do that, then you're not gonna do that, because the DM is the ruler of its own campaign.
Yes, basically.
So if he says you have an orc, but he's not gonna be that stupid,
yeah, I mean, if you have a lenient DM, you can be like, yeah, no, we're not gonna do the minus thing. We're just gonna leave it at a 0, and then
you can go from there.
Yeah.
So everything is a guideline in the end. Why ruin the guideline?
I mean, it's optional. Everything is optional. But with this thing, I really feel like they're trying to paint everything with the same brush. Is that whole thing where everybody's special, but in the end, really nobody's special because we all have a crown hat, but none of us is the king.
Yeah, we basically lost all our feats. Then why would I play an orc that is probably uglier than?
I mean, it depends on the charisma. Let's be honest. It depends on the charisma.
It does depend on the charisma. It does, but they don't know anymore. I don't know what to say about this. It's weird.
I could probably get behind it if it had a more different system. Like in Fire Emblem,
yes,
the Sacred Stone, there are these characters which are called trainees. They basically have 10 levels, and then they can reclass into one of the base classes. For example, Ross starts as a journeyman, but then he can become a fighter or a pirate. Now, the fighter and the pirate are the basic ones. He starts as an in training if you talk to Digimon, or like a Pichu in Pokemon.
Okay. That's fire, man.
So, yeah, that's fire. So, if you have a system where you start just basically as a peasant with a fork, and then the more the game progresses, the more you can build your own character, more like a classless system, or in this case, raceless.
It's not raceless. You still look like something. You just don't have any stats.
Because you have stats. You have stats. Remember, you have stats. It's just they're not as defining as before.
I guess you can say that. I mean, it's something they could do. I just don't know how it's going to work.
Like this could work in a different system where you have just like an in training form where you're a peasant with a fork, and then you just level up and you put points and stuff, and then you reach your true potential once you hit your class.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really that big of a fan of this one. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's bad, especially for a system like Dungeons and Dragons. But it can be changed. You can live with it depending if it's optional or it really is a requirement. And even if it's a requirement, then again, you can just shrug it off.
I think this keeps reminding me of the fact that we still don't play the newest type of D&D campaigns anyway with our DM, because
now we play custom campaigns. We don't play by the books.
We not only play custom campaigns, but we roughly take after rules from 3.5.
No. 5? We use 5. We use 5 edition, which is the current one.
I guess, but I do remember that he said that there was something even more modern, but that feels very much like a game in real life, and
Oh
it's
no,
incredibly
no, no!
difficult.
He was talking about fourth edition,
The fourth edition.
which
Oh,
is regarded as like the worst one at this
yeah.
point.
So yeah, we did mention that that one is not gonna be played because it's way too much of a
Yeah, I
video
mean,
game in real life, which is kind of hard to play
it,
by.
in the end, this whole thing isn't really forcing you because looking at Warhammer and their ninth edition stuff, it might look kind of bad, but if you can find the right people, you can play older editions. Like, for example, I would really like to try and play 3.5, even DM with 3.5 campaign, but I never really got the chance. I would honestly want to DM a first edition Dungeons and Dragons campaign. I just need the people for it and to learn the goddamn rules. But
You could,
it's not.
but you couldn't play it officially if you wanted to, for example.
If I can get the books and the rules and the things, then I can play it officially.
I mean, aren't there actual official campaigns being played?
For first edition,
I'm just thinking of Warhammer, how they have official tournaments.
I don't.
Isn't there a system similar like that for D&D?
If we deviate from this, Tomb of Annihilation. If I remember correctly, Tomb of Annihilation was a thing that was done in tournaments on who can finish the Tomb of Annihilation, the campaign faster. Because Gary Gygax, I think, Gary Gygax, Asham, that has made that campaign for him and his friends to have a challenge while playing D&D. So they had tournaments with this. It's not really friendly like we gather up and do it. It's more hardcore.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. So probably in something of the sort, you'd have to play the newest and most modern.
Nobody's gonna force you. I mean, we don't really have stores that could force you with this. No, honestly. If a store has a table and it's open for games, then they're gonna let you play whatever
Edition you want.
Exactly, they're not gonna force you, and it's your own rules. It's your game. So this one, while I don't like it, it can be shrugged off. But the next one, I really want to talk about the next one, so I'm gonna let you read it until on my mind.
The Curse of the Strahd, right?
Yeah.
Curse of Strahd included a people known as the Vistani and featured the Vistani heroine Esmeralda. Regrettably, their depiction echoes some stereotypes associated with the Romani people in the real world. To rectify that, we've not only made changes of Curse of Strahd, but in 2 upcoming books, we will also show working with a Romani consultant, the Vistani in a way that doesn't rely on reductive tropes.
Okay, this is the part I really wanted to talk about because this is the problematic thing they made in this whole. We're a brand that we apologize for hurting people and we are trying to become better. They're gonna get Romani people, right? They're gonna get gypsies. Because in the end, in Eastern Europe, they're gypsies. Who are they gonna get? Because you have to understand this. The Romani people aren't the same. If you have a Romanian and a Romanian in America, they share culturally a lot of things because we're still Romanian. And now this is going to be confusing for some of you, but Romania is not the same thing with Romani. But when it comes to Romani, a Romanian one will have nothing in common with the Croatian one. And we're talking like a border or two distance, like 2 countries distance between them. Imagine a Romanian one with an American one.
Or a France one.
Oh, a French one. Those are more interesting.
So even in Romania, there are varying types of Romani people. I've had neighbors that were Romani, and they were really nice people to begin with.
Working class, right?
Yes, so they lived like right next door. I lived in a duplex. They lived right in the same, basically in the same house, separated by
one wall.
By a wall, exactly. Their daughter went to school. She was really up for their traditions. She did a lot of Romani dances for various scenes, and she went on and studied at university in England. So she was a really, really intelligent person. we were friends when we were kids. We got along real well. So she was one type of Romani. If I went over to my aunt's house, which lives like 300 kilometers away, in that area there are numerous houses, Romani people, that are very traditionalist. Um, I'm pretty sure they don't send their kids to school.
Yeah, of course.
They mostly work by selling
Iron.
pots, pans, uh, wooden spoons, basically handmade, crafted
Yes.
stuff.
Yes.
They are very traditionalist with their dress code. They only dress in the women only dress in skirts. Always wear something on their head. Um their head. I was just about to say chieftain. I'm so into the nerd culture. I'm sorry. So the head of the household always wears a very large hat, black hat, when they go outside of the house. Yes, so they're very traditionalist in this, and they're not allowed to act any other way. They're very into their family, and I believe they're called in that area the spoon bearer type of gypsy. So that's their livelihood. They make spoons and they craft various objects and they sell them. While this Romani friend of mine, she used to wear jeans at school. She acted like a normal, like a Romanian person. So she dressed like anybody else would. So she only wore those long dresses and the traditional garb whenever she did traditional dances, and she did it on a stage for people to see. So she danced traditionally for people to see, and that's it. So it's really interesting because even in the same country, varying distances, you find different types
Of course.
of Romani people. So which type of Romani people, which consultant are you going to ask? Because everybody in this culture is different.
You know what the Vistani are basically, right? They are the type of Romani people that go around in their carriages,
Yes.
with all their nice
So
dresses.
nomadic.
Yes, the nomadic Romani. And the thing is, this is where they kind of messed up with this whole message by calling the Romani people that don't want to make them by the redundant stereotypes, tropes. I can't remember. Let me see. Because stereotypes. No, that is false because you can't just say we're gonna make the Vistani better by bringing a Romani consultant. Since Wizard of the Coast is American, they will probably bring up an American, which is way different than any other type.
How many Romani nomadic people will you find in America?
I don't think you'll find them.
I think like the closest thing you could come to would be somebody that lives in a van.
Yeah, probably.
I think that's the closest you can get to.
Remember, we're talking about a fantasy setting. Medieval fantasy, sometimes high-tech fantasy,
Yes.
depends.
I am absolutely certain that in Eastern Romania and in Eastern Europe, there are a lot of Romani people that still travel by carriage.
Oh, they still do it. And the thing is, you don't really know what's the real percentage of them in a country because a lot of them are nomadic. They don't settle down and they don't have IDs.
Yeah, so you can't really hold evidence of how many they are. So how exactly are you gonna talk to somebody that is your specific type of Romani that you want to portray?
I mean, they got it pretty right because Romani people really are into family. They care a lot about family. They are very defensive of their tradition, of their women, of their laws. They have this thing called Strabor where they just have their own rule of law, which comes with different problems in of itself. But that aside, from my point of view, I think they got the Vistani correct in the type they're portraying. Because if you look in, I'm gonna take the Romanian perspective here. Gypsies or Romani, whatever, they weren't really that stable. They were slaves at one point, not for long, if I remember correctly, until they were freed, and some of them remained in the places they settled. Some of them still continue to go by carriage to this day. I think it's a good idea to get the Romani person on this, but I think it's more appropriate to look outside of America because you won't find the proper representation there. And this is a problem with a lot of companies. If you really want to be diverse and do and be and get a lot of people from different cultures and whatever, I think it's important to look outside of America because America is not the center of the world, and especially with this one, if you bring an American, I don't think it will have the same feel. Now the Vistani are silversmiths, coppersmiths,
Yes.
which is very nice.
Yes. Accurate representation.
Accurate representation for those types.
For those types, the ones I mentioned. Yes.
Now, if they want to move from the normal stereotype, they could go with Vistani that have their own home, that are stable.
But then you lose part of what makes them them. Because I believe if you play a Vistani,
you can't play it. I mean, you think you can say you're a Vistani because they're human.
yeah, that would. Yeah, but I believe if you did play them, you could discuss with the DM and have something specific for you because you are of this Vistani descent, such as various areas in the map, you are better at haggling, you might have some skills that might show your Vistani descent, right? That would help you in your roleplay. That would.
Yeah, that could help a lot.
That really could, but why? What exactly do they want to portray here?
I think it's gonna be in works, and I think it's gonna take some time. We don't really know what, but we can hope they're just gonna go outside the American bubble and find things that are proper.
We can hope. We can only hope.
Funny thing, you saw that her name is Esmeralda, right? And she's a Vistani. Exactly like Esmeralda from The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Absolutely. So
I like that.
Why wouldn't they keep to the book or to I'm not sure how much historical representation the book represents for the Romani people of old. But Esmeralda and the Hunchback of Notre Dame. I'm not sure how accurate it is.
I think it is.
It should be. It should be because it was written in those times, and D&D is set in a historical medieval. It's medieval. Fantasy. Yes, it's a bit even further in the past than the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with it.
It is closer though. It's closer to. So if you take the depiction of Esmeralda in the book, you can make a closer approximation to what you want in your books, which are set in medieval setting, than whatever you could take right now. Is what I think.
Again, if they go for somebody that really gets the life outside of America, that'll be something else. But again, we have to hope and wait for it.
Hope and pray.
Hope and pray. So the next one, they receive valuable insights from sensitive readers on 2 of our recent books.
The Twitter people?
Yeah, I think the Twitter people. We are incorporating sensitivity readers into our creative process, and we will continue to reach out to experts in various fields to help us identify our blind spots.
I always hated when companies do that, for 2 reasons. First of all, you are trying to incorporate sensitive readers, yes?
I'm a sensitive reader.
You are a very sensitive reader,
yes,
but you're not that type of sensitive reader. You don't get outraged. You're not part of the outrage culture of racism, sexism, that.
Excuse me, if the story is bad, I'm gonna be outraged. It doesn't matter.
Yes, the story is something you can get outraged by. Not they wrote a story that is so racist and sexist and add insert word ist.
Racismus.
Insert word ist to these people because it's fantasy. At the end of the day, it's fantasy. Just because, for example, you use in a voice of a black person to portray an orc in a movie, for example, as voice acting. That doesn't mean orcs are black people. Because orcs have come from a different planet.
What are you talking about? What kind of what?
Orcs, both in D&D and Warhammer, I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
but in D&D as well, at their origin, they are not from the planet that everything takes part in.
I don't know that.
Of course you don't. I'm the lore expert here.
The orc expert.
I'm the orc expert. Want orc info? Come to me. They've come through a portal created by the creators of the world. They have created a portal, and the orcs pass through the portal into the territory they are in now. So
that's like Warcraft. That's how they came to Azeroth as well.
Yes.
Through a goddamn portal.
They have almost identical background, except orcs are so mad and so angry because their god was cheated out of their...
They're part of the realm.
Exactly. When they came, if all the other gods of all the other races had already taken parts of the realm, and they talked amongst themselves and were going to play a prank on their greatest god, Grumsh, the god of the orcs, the
Yes.
original one, the creator. Sorry, the creator of the orcs. They're gonna play a prank on him, and they're gonna show him the fact that he has absolutely no place to be in this realm. So every territory was taken by elves, by dwarves, by everybody else. And what did Grumsh do? He took his spear and said, "Oh, you see this part of the map that is the forest of the elves? This part of the forest is mine now. Do you see this part of the mountains that is taken by the dwarfs? This is also mine now. Part of this, part of this, part of that," and he fought for everything, and his descendants fought everybody for everything because of the betrayal.
Okay, I'm just gonna be honest. This changes my perspective of orcs in D&D. Or I'm okay with orcs in Warhammer, but this perspective is like I think the orcs took it the rough way. They were like, we have nothing,
and nobody's giving us anything.
We're gonna take it ourselves.
And we're gonna take it, and we're gonna take it forever, and this is gonna be ours as long as we need
now,
it.
why did you say you don't like this thing? We were talking about this.
I completely forgot. I went on a tangent.
Sensitivity readers.
The sensitivity readers, yes. So you want to appease to sensitivity readers. When you do this, you need to ask two important questions. First of all, how many sensitivity readers read, buy, consume your merchandise?
No, sensitivity readers are like proofreaders. They read before and give insight on what's missing, what's good, what's not.
Okay, then let me rephrase that. When you write a book or a game or anything,
yes,
you need to find a target audience, always.
Yes.
Once you modify something to appease a group of people, you need to ask two questions. How much of the group of people you're trying to appease actually plays your game or will buy your product?
Okay.
And what will happen after you modify the product with the consumers that already used to consume your product? Will they change their mind about your product?
I mean, if the idea is good, then, for example, it includes a target audience that you don't have, and if the idea is good, that's more win for you, that's more money for you.
Yes.
That doesn't feel like a problem.
That's a big if. Because this is the thing, you need to always keep in mind, do these people buy my product? Will they buy them if I make these changes? Will the people that were already buying my product stop buying it if I make this change?
Yeah,
these are the important questions you need to ask. So once if they destroy the basic mechanics and gameplay and various things of the game, they can't appease to the original.
I think they're just gonna make books about either with stories or those campaign books they're gonna make. Excuse me, they're gonna have stories in them. Like I have in the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, which I really want to play.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, I have nobody to play with it. But getting back to the main point,
Is that a jab at me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is a big one. You have to go by ifs in this situation because you're not really that sure. Yes, you can try to appeal to a broader audience and then lose your old one and not get anything. Yeah, this happened I think before, but I'm not really sure. I think it was either Ghostbusters 2016, where they made an all women's cast. Which okay, that was an idea, but then it flopped because it was bad.
Yes.
And well, from a viewer's point of view, I didn't like it either. Or you can do it and try to implement it like Doctor Who used to do it before, or like Star Trek used to do it again before. You can encompass a broader audience to get more people to watch because I am sure as so there are people that like Star Trek that were not really in the main focus of the thing. Because Star Trek was awesome at one point. I think still is. It has good episodes sometimes.
To a degree.
Yeah, to a degree, still good. I mean, it's not Picard levels or William Shatner levels, but it can still be good.
No, it's Disney level.
Star Trek is not owned by Disney.
Not Star Trek.
You're thinking about Star Wars.
I was thinking of Star Wars and what they did with all the modifications since Disney came and all the.
Yeah, I think what they did there, they shot themselves in the foot, and I think Disney is an example of what not to do. It's a good thing the Mandalorian's still a thing, which is pretty awesome and it appeals to what Star Wars used to be. Okay, you people need to understand in companies as well. Appealing to your own audience that you've built years and years upon is not a bad thing. Trying to get more people in is again not a bad thing. It's the decision you make to get there. Sensitivity readers can be a good thing if they are used correctly. If, for example, you have people that go for more nuanced stuff. Like, of course, you're never gonna have the N word in one of the books. That's suicide. So you're not gonna need somebody that's gonna look for offensive words like at that level. You're just gonna need people that are gonna look for it at a more undertoned level. Like they complain with the orcs, but something much more real than the orcs.
That's already too metaphorical, and we've discussed it several times today because the orcs are an amalgamation of what tribal life is in many places, not just the black community or.
Okay, I'm gonna put it like this. After so many things have went a bad route, and I really wish there's still something there that can have hope. I really wish there is, and I put my hope in Dungeons and Dragons and the fact that their sensitivity readers, while yes, they might not be the best, can bring something different. But then again, have you seen the fighter for Dungeons and Dragons from the Player's Handbook?
I probably the image.
Yeah, the image.
Yeah, the whole image for the human isn't it the black woman?
I think it's a black woman, but it looks so amazing. That's the only reason I made my rat a fighter. Well, an Eldritch Knight, but still a fighter.
The whole point is, once you have the race human, you have any race.
Every color to play with.
Yes, and then you have all the other colors. The green for the orcs, the blue for the genasi. You have.
Or red. Depends on genasi.
And racism or not racism in D&D completely depends on the players, on the DM, and on whatever you want to do with your players.
True. I'm just gonna be honest. Sensitivity readers might not be a bad thing. It depends if they're gonna be people that are gonna make more assumptions like the orcs the ones which are gonna hurt me. But let's move on to the next one before I start crying.
Don't cry.
Okay.
Not this time.
The last one.
The last one. We're proactively seeking new diverse talent to join our staff and our pool to freelance writers and artists. We've brought in contributors who reflect the beautiful diversity of the D&D community to work on books coming out in 2021. We're going to invest even more in this approach and add a broad range of new voices to join the chorus of D&D storytelling.
Like you're really expecting to go in 2022. I know. I want to get to that year sooner as well.
2022.
Yes.
I just want it not to be 2020 anymore.
Yeah. The sooner we get rid of 2020, the better things will be. Hopefully.
Yes.
Allegedly.
I keep thinking of the meme of, 2019, it was so horrible, go away with all the apocalypse and all the problems, and then 2021 right behind. Hi.
Like,
hello. I'm here now.
Like, I swear, I wish I had the problems of last year today.
Oh, if our only issues were internet problems.
Like last year, I would have totally won those problems this year because they were so much more easy.
Yeah.
But let's get on to the main point, because we're just going off rail. So
I think we're gonna go off rail often in this.
Yeah, we will. So they are seeking diverse talent to join their staff.
How far are you willing to look? Is the question.
Oh yeah, I'm open. I'm open. I have some good ideas, some good stories. I've been trying to work a writing job for 6 years. Not even one phone call back, so I'm open. Okay, but
you're always hopeful.
Self plug aside, this whole diversity thing really is interesting. Like freelancer writing, you can discriminate in that one in America. Do you know?
You can?
If I understand correctly, you can't discriminate against that one. You can just say, no, I'm not gonna hire you because you're X. Well, you can just do that anyway without telling them. But when it comes to freelancing, that's how it works. You can do that.
I don't like you.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna work with you.
Yeah. Okay, so diversity might not be a really bad thing. But and then when it comes to writing and artists and stuff, like the Boondocks are made by a black creator, and the Boondocks is awesome. I like Afro Samurai. I listen to that soundtrack to that thing almost every day. I know it was made by Japanese, inspired by black culture, but still amazing. Like Samurai Champloo. Champloo.
Yes.
Blue. Anyway, so in that sort of this diverse thing reminds me of something. You know that Parasite won an Oscar for best movie because it was diverse, but Parasite was a Korean movie full of Korean people. I know this sounded kind of weird, but yes, it was diverse. I mean, it's a lot of diversity. There's
so much diversity.
There's so much diversity in the whole movie, and that's because they're all Korean.
Being diverse and being different is something different. Two different things.
I think if you really want to go the diverse route, you should always take into consideration who is the better option. Because if you have two people that are as good, you have to somehow break it. And breaking it by race is bad and all that, we know. But favoring one race instead of other is also a problem. I think this is one problem that many things in sci-fi and fantasy suffer from. They don't always go for the best writing option. They go with either someone that either has relationships higher up, or they fill up a quota or something.
Yeah, they're appeasing to audience, they're appeasing to rules instead of picking the best man for the job, which is never the best thing to do.
I mean, okay, I'm gonna be honest with this. I think I came out with this a few times by now. I like The Last Jedi from the new trilogy of Star Wars. That's like my favorite one. I consider the other two to be utterly bad. I would much rather watch the prequels. In fact, I enjoyed the prequels more than I enjoyed the sequels. But I like The Last Jedi more. And I think that's the whole problem. Because J.J. Abrams and Ryan Jones are white people. So they made Star Wars with a female-focused character. And an important annoying character named Rose. That, thank God, the only saving grace for the last movie is the fact that Rose not that important anymore.
Yeah, she barely said anything.
If only the rest of the movie could make more sense. But that aside, I think the movies, even though as much as I like Ryan Jones's movies, they went not for the best option. They didn't went for the best option. With J.J. Abrams, the first time I think they got him because he rebooted Star Trek with the first movie, and he rebooted one more series, and then they got him. Ryan Johnson, I think he was there only because of nepotism. I like his movies, to be honest. I think he was put there only for nepotism. And if you really want to go for diverse and make sure things end good, don't focus just on a diverse thing. I think this is where I'm just taking this whole train to. Don't just focus on diverse, focus on good.
Suitable.
No, good.
Good. And
You,
good.
you don't want a story that's decent, that's meh. Because that's a forgettable story. You want one that can be good and that can stick to your audience. The Last of Us, the first game, it sticks to its audience like a fucking sea urchin to the ground level of a sea.
Let's be honest, it was amazing. The Last of Us, the first one, it was absolutely amazing. Really good storytelling, really good plot twists at the end, really good character. How do you call it? Character figures, the way the way the disease functions. It felt fresh. It felt new. It was a zombie game, but it was a fresh take on it. The characters had cool designs, the monsters had cool designs, you had nice playthrough. It was really interesting as a game.
And that's the case of picking good. You don't want to pick somebody that's decent. As I said before.
Yeah, and
you want to pick something that sticks.
And didn't they fire that the original
I'm not sure if Amy
animator?
I'm not sure. I know Amy Henning was fired from Naughty Dog. The current owner Neil Druckmann or whatever, they didn't have a good relationship. I'm not sure if she worked on The Last of Us. I know she worked on Uncharted. But again, I think people shouldn't focus on diversity.
Another example I have about diversity.
Okay, because I'm going off the rail again.
Yeah, I'm going off the rail too. Think Netflix Death Note, the movie. Think about L. They picked a black person for L, and he did an amazing job at portraying what L is. Everything else was horrible.
Oh yeah, that's good.
L, the character, was suitable. I didn't like the way they wrote the ending for L in that movie, because L was always a very calm individual.
Yes.
In the anime, he used to be really calculated. Of course, he never lost Watari in that one. They died at the same time, if you remember.
Yeah. So
in the same day, almost a few minutes apart, they both died.
Poetic, if you ask me.
It is. In this one, indeed, they made L have to deal with a situation where Watari was not in the picture anymore.
Yes.
But L, as a character in the original work material, he was a calculated person.
Yes.
He had lost other people close to him. He had lost the FBI lady,
yes.
if you remember.
Yes.
And he was very outraged by it.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean he went off the rails and started shooting up places, started running in blindly.
Acting like a psycho.
Yeah, basically. So he didn't. The character for him, they picked an amazing person. They had an amazing portrayal of Elle, but I hated the writing and the direction of that. The way it ended.
Yeah, I mean, that guy did a very good job. And here's what I'm saying: don't really focus that much on diversity. Focus on good, because that guy's a good actor. I really want to see more movies with him because he did a good job with Elle.
Even though he wasn't the quote unquote type from the original, Elle was the palest person you could ever find on planet Earth because he lived basically underground. That was his lifestyle. But they picked an amazing actor, and they portrayed it well, regardless of skin color or culture or whatever. Everything else about that movie was horrible.
Oh yeah.
They picked a white person and made Elle into the lamest girl-obsessed teenage boy.
Light, you mean?
Light, sorry. You could ever find on planet Earth. They made Misa, which was infatuated with Light in the original, and she basically was badass with the exception that she couldn't see past that love struck manipulation he got her into.
Yes.
So they basically tried here to reverse the coin on that and make Misa into a badass, but Misa is not the main character.
Yeah, I didn't.
So you lose the power of the movie. And by the end, she was so manipulative. You almost wanted her to win because Light was absolutely lame, the lamest character ever.
Yeah, that's not play. Yeah, that's a writing problem.
That's a horrible writing problem.
Yeah.
So they got the black person on point amazingly, and they ruined the white person, and they made him into a cuck basically. Light in the Netflix movie was a cuck. Sorry, I was the one to say it. I'm sorry. And here's the tea. Literally.
Well, at this point, we're gonna lose our spot at the channel 11, 12 o'clock hour podcast radio show.
Yeah, we already went an hour into this.
Yeah. I guess this time, we went off the rail in different directions, and we should go back to the main point again.
The main point is, if you want to write diversity, write it well.
If you're looking for diversity, look for good.
And well written. Not diversity.
Well, they're looking for diverse talent. Diverse talent. So they should be looking for good.
Look for good diverse talent. Look for people that can bring contributions to what you're doing and do their job well. Regardless of skin tone, pick somebody that can fill the shoes you need to fill. That's what you should take from this one, I guess.
Hire good. Take somebody that can care about the material, that knows the material as well. And, well, hoping for the best is the only thing we have sometimes, right?
Absolutely. So, if we haven't hit this train on enough walls already, I think we should bring it back to the station.
What, the train?
The train.
I don't know, the train's dead and gone a long time ago. There's no more train. There's nobody left alive. You know Ice Piercer, or whatever, with in that always looping train, yeah.
Yeah.
No more train.
Yeah, we've hit it on enough walls. I think it's dead in a ditch.
Sank worse than the Titanic.
Yeah. Then we're gonna use a different train for next time.
Hopefully, we'll have a train. I mean, the trains are expensive, you know that?
Model trains? Absolutely.
And real trains.
Model trains.
And real trains.
Who'd want to buy a real train?
I would buy a real train.
You want to be a conductor now?
I would just make my own tank out of it.
Then make a tank out of trains.
There was a situation with somebody once that took a bulldozer and transformed it into an armed tank. That thing was impenetrable once he was in. You couldn't get into that with no matter how many bullets you put into it.
You needed landmines.
He went through it. If I remember correctly, he wanted to demolish a few houses of people that kind of wronged him. But at one point he got stuck.
In the houses?
No,
Between the houses?
in some sort of pit because the thing was too heavy. And
he made the pit.
And he killed himself because it was too heavy. And
he got crushed.
Yeah, the police was there and the FBI, and I think it was really after Wacko, and they didn't want to repeat that, so he just killed himself. That's a sad story to end this thing on, and I'm not really sure I have all the details proper for that story. So we're just gonna say it's my version. This is my version that happened once. It has nothing to do with the real one. This is my version. I'm gonna keep it somewhere in the box.
You just wrote it off the top of your head, and now it's yours.
Yes, now it's mine. Okay, I think we should end this.
Yeah, there is no more train.
There is no more train.
This was Dragon Hour, guys. Hope you can tune in to the next one, and have a nice day.